Go ahead.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Life on Purpose call. We're so grateful to have you here. I'd like to start just by welcoming you and thanking you for taking some time out of your busy lives to come to this presentation. I know that if I was sitting in your seat, I probably would have no idea what I was about to hear, or maybe have a little small idea. It had something to do with holistic health, entrepreneurship, community. But if you're here, it's probably because you want to live an extraordinary life. You've never seen yourself living the typical 9 to 5. You have a passion for travel. You want to help people. And you haven't really found anything so far that really aligns with your values and that can really give you the lifestyle that you're after. There's probably a part of you that knows you want to be a business owner, you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to work for yourself, create your own schedule, but maybe you don't know the first step to take when it comes to being your own boss. And to have a community of people who can support you in that process is something you would find really valuable. Tonight, you're going to get a lot of questions answered. You're going to be able to discover an option. Is it the only way to create the lifestyle you want? Of course not, but I think that it is the best way. And you're going to hear why in this call. So first, I would like to introduce you to a very special person. He is all of our mentors. His name is Mike DiMuccio, and he is my dad. And he has really been a huge inspiration, not just for me, but for hundreds and thousands of people all across the world. He's truly sparked a movement within his own organization, and he's been able to help people that he will never even meet. And if you think about, if you're somebody who wants to build a legacy, who wants to do something that extends so far beyond you, he's the person that you have to talk to because he has done it. And tonight he's going to share with us a short little presentation and diagram that I know when I first saw it, it completely changed the way that I viewed life. So, Papa, without further ado, I would like you to take over.
Thank you. And welcome, everyone. I'm going to share my screen and get us rolling here. So I'm going to share with you an image that I don't even remember when this was shared with me, but I know my interpretation of it, my internalization of it led to a tremendous understanding and a way of communicating a simple concept, but it's a concept that affects every human being born on this planet. On the top left-hand side, I call this aligning with success. So let me really be brief about this. Success is a state of being. And each and every one of us currently are experiencing some version of ourselves in some state of success, or maybe your interpretation might be lack of it. Hopefully by the end of this 5-10 minutes, you're going to have a much better understanding of what success really means, and maybe reconfigure or reevaluate how you internalize or interpret your own place in life at this moment. But I know that success is something you need to align with if you want to experience it. And before you can even align with it, you need to define it. So let's look at how we actually arrive into the way we do life. And many of you are very young, you're in your 20s, you're at the sort of the starting end of your work experience, your work life experience. And for many of you, this information could be pivotal in how you spend the next 10, 20, 30, 50 years of your life. Most people, they have to hit the school of hard knocks before they come to some of these realizations. So let's start with the beginning. You're born into a structure. You start at the bottom of this pyramid. A structure representing everything you know, your family, the social economic position of your family when you're born into it, your religion, your culture, your language, your education, everything that comprises and informs you of who you are in the world. The structure that you're brought into imparts to you the beliefs that you need to have and hold if you want to be a member of that structure. So for instance, a simple context, if you want to be part of your religion, or if you want to be accepted, in the religion, you have to accept what that religious belief, the construct of the beliefs of that religion are, otherwise you won't be accepted. So early in life, before we even know our name, we want to fit in. We just simply need to fit in because we need to survive. So the whole structure that we're surrounded by, which imparts the beliefs that we adopt, are happening without us even thinking about it. And it's not until later in life that we even have thoughts about what we think to be true or false. Until then, we just absorb everything as if it's a fact. But interesting thing, I remember as a kid, early on in life, I picked up my meal with my fork in my left hand, and my mom slapped my hand and shouts out at me, you don't eat your fork with your left hand. That's how the devil eats. And I'm like, how the hell would she even know how the devil eats? Has she seen the devil eat? Does the devil actually eat with the left hand? Is there such a thing as a devil? I mean, think about these ideas for a second. How many things we were taught to believe to be true that were just random things that our parents told us, but you get a slap in the face or a slap in the hand or whatever if you don't conform. So we early on in life conform to those beliefs, and then without thinking about it, those beliefs inform our behavior. So we behave in a manner that's consistent with what we believe to be true, even if those beliefs are not ours. They're just beliefs we accepted or adopted to fit in. Well, our behavior produces results, and those results are either in alignment or out of alignment with our vision being what we think and feel and view would be the reality we want to live in. So think about this. You're at a point right now, and if I said to you, are you happy? How many people do you know that are happy? What's your vision of happiness? Are you healthy? Of all the people you know, how many of them are healthy? Are you wealthy? Of all the people you know, how many are wealthy? Better question. Of all the people you know, see, have ever been introduced to, exposed to, how many of them are all three happy, healthy, and wealthy? And you might wonder, how is it possible that we can pursue these things all of our life and they seem to elude us to the degree where only maybe 20% of the population is happy, 30% is healthy, and less than 5% is wealthy? I mean, think about it. What's the point of pursuing something if it's going to elude you for 40 or 50 years? And the reason why we don't even second guess it is because we are on a trajectory which started out with us being born into the structures we're being born into. Those structures which give us our beliefs and subject us to our behavior and results are resulting in a life and a lifestyle that is not very consistent with the vision that most people have of what their future could be. So what happens? You get to 20, you get to 30, you get to 40. At some point in time, you're going to get to the realization that your current results and your vision are so out of alignment, something has to change. Which changes? The results or the vision? 99.9% of the time, we reduce our vision. Maybe we didn't even think about it. It just happens over time, where we start to justify our life. We justify our results. We justify our behavior. We justify what we believe to be true. We justify the structures we come from so that we can have some peace of mind and some sanity, because our vision of what we thought life would be like and what it actually is like is so far apart that we have to yield one to the other. And that's the story of so many people's lives, when all they actually had to ask themselves at the beginning of life, or be asked, what's the purpose of your life? Because if you ask that question first, then you can start to align all these other things and see, is it a match? In fact, if we did the education system correctly, it would be the reverse. We would start with the end in mind. We would start with, what's my purpose in life? And if I was living a life on purpose, with purpose, what would it look like? That's the vision of it. And, it might be different at different stages of life, but you can all draw it out. I'm sure if I gave you magazines and scissors and glue, whatever, you guys could put a nice vision board together that represents the vision that you would have of a life on purpose at this moment in your life. And I encourage that, by the way. Then you could ask yourself, okay, going backwards from vision, what are the milestones or the results that would indicate I'm on the road to the realization of that vision and the fulfillment of my purpose? And then you work backwards from there and you say, okay, what are the behaviors that would lead to those results that I need to begin to adopt and act in alignment with? And then you'd say, okay, well, what would I have to believe to be true about myself, about others, about the situation, for me to actually behave this way? What would be the beliefs? And then finally, what is the structure I need to build or join or collaborate with that will support me in developing my beliefs that are in alignment with the behavior that will produce the results that help me realize my vision and the fulfillment of my purpose? That would be a life on purpose by design. Do you know what percentage of the population actually do this? It's so small, it's scary, because they've never been taught to do this. And so we need to begin with the end in mind. What is the purpose of your life? I found a purpose 30 years ago that I have not been able to veer away from because it is so in alignment with who it is I believe we are all. Individuals, expressions of the Creator, seeking to find fulfillment and purpose in each of these areas of our life. Our body, which is the vehicle through which we live life. Our mind, the vehicle through which we interpret life. Our family, the immediate relationships through which we experience each other. Society, the extension of family in which I have a role of purpose as service to play. And then finally, finances, the material that enables me to actually use the material world to live my life. So the idea of having balance and abundance and these, what we call the 5 pillars of wellness, is an ideal that's worth pursuing. That is an incredible purpose. And it was this purpose that I aligned with, and the definition that I was taught by my mentor, Bob Proctor, who was taught by his mentor, Earl Nightingale, the actual author, who said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And Bob would tell me, a worthy ideal, Mike, is something you would be willing to trade your life for. So as long as you are progressing toward something you're willing to trade your life for, every minute of every day you're doing that, you are a success. In other words, it's not a destination, it's a direction. And all it requires is a guidance system. And what you're looking at here is an incredible guidance system. In other words, every day that I'm moving toward a healthier body, a healthier mind, a healthier family relations, a healthier role in society, and healthier finances, every day that I'm moving toward that, that's a good day. That's a successful day. I am a success. So it's also easy to see if you're off course. What did you do today concerning your body? Were you moving toward health or away from it? Toward in your mind, were you moving toward healthy thoughts or negative thoughts? And so on. It's easy to see if you're on course or off course with this guidance system. And this could be the beginning of the most important day of your life, because having this guidance system, internalizing that in your life, can give you a clear indicator as to whether you're on course or not. Are you aligned with success or aren't you? To carry this story forward, I'm going to pass this to my niece, Elena, who will share with you one of those 5 pillars that affects us the most. Of course, finances.
Beautiful. Thank you, Zio. Hi, guys. I'm Elena. So I think my uncle does an incredible job of painting a landscape for what it really looks like and what it means to live life with purpose, to live life with intention. And specifically, you know, those 5 pillars that we really hone in on when it comes to important factors that either support us or take away from our ability to live purposefully. So I want to narrow in on finances, financial wealth, specifically our beliefs around how money is made, what financial wealth looks like, what it means to actually create wealth for ourselves. Because when we really call into question this concept of purposeful living, you know, finances, resources, monetary resources are a condition of our world that we just cannot ignore and that we shouldn't ignore, because at the end of the day, they amplify who you already are. They amplify your ability to contribute and to live life in a way that's meaningful and true to you, right? And so for every single one of us, majority of us learn about, you know, how money is made. We adopt the same relationships, the same beliefs around money as our parents. From a very young age, before we're even aware of it, we learn about money to a certain degree from those that have come before us, from those that have raised us, and to some extent within the structure of our educational system as well. And so the story for most people goes, go to school, get educated, find a safe and secure job or career, and earn a living. And, you know, for some time, we think this works. That structure, that security of knowing, you know, where you need to be, how you need to be working, when your next paycheck is coming in, it almost satisfies us to some degree because it provides us comfort. You know, maybe we're making a decent income, but we decide to get married. Maybe we decide to build a family. And as our family grows, so does our need for more money. So what's our response? Well, we work harder. We invest more time, invest more hours. We take on more debt, maybe a mortgage, pay more taxes, and pray for retirement, you know, all the while teaching our children to essentially do the same thing. And so the cycle continues to perpetuate itself. And it's been pursuing and following the structure for the most part that has led to the number one cause of stress in most people's lives because of the strain on our freedom. Lack of time, lack of energy, lack of money. In other words, unhealthy or unhappy, unhealthy, and unwealthy. And as my uncle mentioned earlier, you know, all of us are in the pursuit for the most part of happiness, health, and wealth. But for the majority of the population, it often evades us. So where did we go wrong in the equation? To what degree were we, you know, misled? To what degree have we learned the wrong rules? And what is our own understanding of financial literacy? Where do our own financial beliefs exist? Because when we can start to ask ourselves these questions, it really presents the opportunity to improve our wealth consciousness, to upgrade our wealth consciousness, and to begin to choose differently for ourselves so that we can build and create a lifestyle that is more suited to our purpose. So what you're looking at here is a very well-known concept called the 4 cash flow quadrants. And it was created by the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And what it's really illustrating is 4 basic ways that we earn an income in this life: as an employee, self-employed, as a business owner, and as an investor. And this concept, albeit structure, is just as powerful and effective today as it was when it was first created, because what it's really doing is outlining the relationship that we hold with money. And as we go into this deeper, I'm hoping that you'll start to recognize that on the left side of this quadrant, there exists a very inherent and true problem. So beginning in the top left corner, we have the employee status. You know, this is a condition that I'm sure most of us on this call are all too familiar with. To some degree, we've had an experience with a job. You know, maybe you've worked for a wage or a salary pay. Bottom line is we're in a condition in which we are trading time for money. We are dependent on the company that we work for the individual that we work for, and we create an income that is entirely dependent on the time of the number of active hours that we actually put in terms of work. And so this is what I like to call a classic textbook case of earning a living. And this is how 75% of the world's population generates an income for themselves. So we move down now into the bottom left quadrant as the self-employed. And we have 20% of the world's population essentially saying, you know what, I'm not okay with the limitations, the constraints that are placed upon me as an employee, being dependent on my employer. And so I want to break away from that. I want to become self-employed. I don't want to have to ask permission for when I can take time off. Maybe I want to earn more. I want to make more income for myself. You know, this also includes more specialized professionals like chartered accountants, lawyers, doctors. And so you've broken away from the condition of being dependent. You become independent. And in fact, maybe you have others who are dependent on you, like your employees. But the bottom line is you are still trading time for money. You now work for your business, where if you don't show up, your business doesn't operate and you don't make any money. And so maybe you've claimed the title of a business owner, but the reality is your business now owns you. So we have 95% of the world's population trading time for money. Where what's the response when you want to make more money? Trade more time, invest more time, work harder, right? Why? Because that's how we've been taught. That's how we've been taught by those that have come before us, the structures that have existed. Go to school, get educated, find a safe and secure job or career, and earn a living. But time can be either your greatest asset or your greatest liability. And the inherent problem that exists here on the left side of the quadrants is that time is always a liability. If you think about it, you're in the condition of trading time for money, meaning that the amount of income that you can earn is always going to be dependent on the time. There's only one of you. We all have the same 24 hours available in any day. Therefore, there is naturally a limit to how much time you have available, and there would be a limit to how much income you can create and generate for yourself. So we have 95% of the world's population living in a condition in which their income potential is limited, it's capped, and the income they generate for themselves always comes at the expense of their freedom because it's earned through active time, through active work, right? And there's a really big difference between earning a living, working for a living, and building a life for yourself. So when we move into the right side of the quadrants, as a business owner now with 500 or more employees, you now have a system that's working for you. This is really where we start to tap into wealth creation, because you as a business owner have learned that rather than trading time for money, you create an income for yourself by building an asset, building a business that creates value. The more money you want to earn, the more income you want to generate, the more value you add and contribute. And that's what wealth creation looks like. Because now you have a system that's working for you, independent of you, and that's leverage. It becomes less about being the smartest, the most capable, the hardest working person in the room. And instead, you've learned to hire people that are smarter and more capable than you. You've learned to develop longstanding relationships with people that you trust and respect, to collaborate with those individuals, where you go from being independent to instead interdependent within a network and a system that is self-perpetuating. My uncle said this about a week ago, and it's, stayed in my mind ever since. But it's the idea that most people look for work. Wealthy people will create a network. And it's really the difference between earning 100% from the efforts of one person and instead earning 1% from the efforts of 100 people. The individuals on the right side or on the right quadrants, they understand, these are individuals that are creating wealth for themselves in a condition of wealth creation, understand the value of capturing a small percentage of something very big, something large that creates value independent of their time. And it's a similar condition, as an investor, where you've now transitioned into a situation in which you're no longer working for your money, but your money is now working for you. You've connected with the things that you value and you decided to invest in those things, and your money continues to grow and amplify as a result of that. And so the bottom line is we have 5% of the world's population owning 95% of the world wealth, because the wealthy understand that rather than trading time for money, you create wealth by building an asset that creates value independent of your time. And I want to go back to the idea that time can either be your greatest asset or your greatest liability, because the reality for most of these people here on the right is that they have more than one source of income, multiple streams of passive and residual income. And if you're an individual that's trading time for money, then it can be very difficult to conceptualize, to integrate the idea or the capacity that you have to generate more than one source of income, because you're using all the time that you've got to work for the money that you're making through this one source, through this one stream. But the reality is we all have the same 24 hours in the day. How we leverage that time is what stands the difference. Individuals on the right, those that are in a state of wealth creation, will create the time, find the time, use whatever time they've got, and commit that to building. They're builders. They'll build an asset, and once that asset is up and running, generating an income, they'll go and duplicate that process. Probably for the most part, using the resources and the capitals that they generated from this original asset to help further grow and expand all their other income streams, all their other assets. But they'll continue to duplicate that process because there's no limit to how many assets you can create as a business builder. There is, however, a limit to how much time you can trade as an employee, as a worker bee. And so the 5%, the wealthy 5%, will find the time to build assets. And I think this really is derived from one pivotal difference when it comes to this idea of how we leverage our time. That stems from our beliefs. Going back to what my uncle mentioned, how our beliefs influence our behaviors, the stories that we tell ourselves, because what we're really talking about here is a difference between poverty and abundance mindset, how the two different individuals on the left and the right operate and think when they're presented with opportunity, when they're presented with challenge. And so, for instance, you can have two of these individuals, one from the left, one from the right, presented with the exact same opportunity, the exact same tools, the exact same resources. And usually when opportunity comes knocking, there's some type of attached challenge, some investment of some kind, whether it's an investment of time, an investment of money, other resources, maybe a learning of a new skill. There's usually a challenge attached to it because what you're being asked is to expand out of your current reality, which is going to require you to do things you've never done before and to get uncomfortable. So opportunity comes knocking. An individual on the left who's trading time for money will see that opportunity. Maybe it's asking them to use some time to build it out. They'll see that opportunity and they'll say to themselves, I don't have the time. And right then and there, that's the end of their road. They've hit a wall and there's nothing further to explore beyond that. And their current reality continues to persist. They don't have the time. Whereas you present the same opportunity to the individual on the left, an individual who's building assets, who wants to build assets. And maybe they're living in the current reality that they don't actually have the time right now. Maybe they're working 2 jobs, maybe they're a full-time mom, but you present them with this opportunity. You tell them that there needs to be an investment in time to build this opportunity out. And rather than saying to themselves, I don't have the time, they'll ask themselves the question, how can I find the time? How can I create the time? And right then and there, the reality shifts. They've activated their mind to become a problem solver, to become more resourceful, to find the time to make this work. And they become a part of the solution rather than the problem. And the reason why they'll find the time is because the individuals on the right are driven by one singular thing more than anything else in this life. It's not the opportunity itself. It's not necessarily the resources that opportunity will provide. It's the freedom that the opportunity can afford them. How those resources will feed into the life that they want to live, a life of freedom, total freedom. Wealth creation is not at all about money accumulated. It's not about having all the money in the world. It's about finding a way to generate an income for yourself that can afford you a life inspired entirely by how you want to live. For the people on the right, it's all about freedom, ownership over their time, over their money, over their energy. Money is the tool, it's the resource, it's the vehicle. Freedom is the goal for them. And this goes far beyond the difference between being an employer versus an employee. What we're really talking about here is the difference between having control over your own destiny or giving up that control to others. And for somebody who's driven by freedom, they will find a way to create the resources, the money, the time to take advantage of the opportunity that's being presented to them because they're driven by a greater goal. The individuals on the left, for the most part, are driven by security. And so that's why when they're presented with an opportunity like that, the natural response would be to contract. I don't have the time. This is too scary because it's going to take me out of my current reality. It's going to cause some discomfort. And I like my security. It's what I've known my entire life, right? But you can't have security and freedom at the same time. And chase security, you'll become the most insecure person around. So for the people on the right, it is all about freedom, and that only exists on this side of the quadrants. So if freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, ownership over how you live your life, over how you invest your time, your money, your energy is something that is important to you, then learning how to create multiple streams of income, learning how to build assets, learning from the individuals who have done that, and surrounding yourself with a community of individuals who are doing that needs to become a priority in your life. Because when it does, you'll find yourself in a position where how you work, who you work for, where you work, the work that you perform, these all become choices and decisions that are entirely yours, not based on the pay, not based on the benefits, not based on the security, but simply based on whether or not you love that. Right? You get to find yourself in a position where you can ask the question, is the work that I'm doing, is the career that I'm working towards, the profession that I'm in, something that truly lights me up, something that I love? Is it a way that I want to contribute in this world? Is it the impact that I want to make? Or am I just a hamster on a wheel just trying to, get by? And if not, can I choose differently? Am I in a position in my life to choose differently? Do I have that ability? Do I have that freedom of choice? Because that's what freedom really is all about. And to me, that's a position that every single person should be in their life. It's not at all a privilege that should only be afforded to 5% of the population. It's your God-given right. And so I want to leave you guys with this final thought, because right now, we are currently going through such a massive and pivotal shift in our collective history. You can look around you and see the world that we know changing before our eyes. And that shift in and of itself is calling forward leadership. And it's not the kind of leadership that's, taken on by one singular individual, but rather it's calling forward each and every one of us to step into our own power as a leader, to step into that role. And humanity needs you to have resources. Humanity needs me to have resources, each and every one of us to have resources. There needs to be a transfer of wealth from the hands of leaders who are leading and operating in, the old paradigm into the hands of new conscious leaders who genuinely want to have a positive impact on the world. Because you spend your money where your values are. Money is an amplifier at the end of the day. And we need more money being circulated, more resources being circulated. So to have a vehicle that can take more people from the left to the right, that can seamlessly bridge the gap from the left to the right, to put people in a position of wealth creation, in a position of empowerment and self-actualization, it's what we need now more than ever. It's priceless. And it's exactly what we have here with Niken and the Sovereign Life team. So with that being said, I want to pass you guys the baton off to Sophia, and she's going to take us deep into who Niken is. What is the 46-year-long legacy that has been Niken and the impact that it's had globally, and why we're all here today. So take it away, So.
Thanks, Elena. So you guys just saw the cash flow quadrant, which, I was having a conversation actually with somebody about this today. Most of us think that in order to create of our time, but really that shouldn't be where our focus is. It should be on building assets. And I knew this from when I was a young girl. Although I didn't exactly know the cash flow quadrants, I understood that if I wanted to live a life of freedom, I couldn't have a corporate job. I couldn't be trading my time for money. I had to be building something that had value beyond what I was able to contribute. And the reason I knew this is because of the type of environment that I grew up in. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. Can everyone see my screen right now? We're all good. Okay, perfect. So right now you're looking at a collage of a few moments of my life. And I know it might seem like it's just a highlight reel, and everyone has amazing moments in life, of course, especially most of us here have lived a very privileged life. We grew up in North America. I'm sure you've gone on some really nice vacations in your life. But what I just tried to capture here was really the quality of life that I have experienced. And I know that it's a very unique experience, because this isn't just highlight reels. This has been like the norm in my life. I was exposed to very luxurious and extraordinary experiences my whole life. We got to travel when I was a young girl constantly. We would go on 3-4 vacations a year. We actually lived in Barbados when I was a child. You could see a few photos of me and my sister and my dad and my brother there on the beach. And my dad was a resident on the island of Barbados for 14 years, and we had a home there. So we would visit very often. We would go out to 5-star dinners every night, every night. For the last 5 years, I lived in a beautiful penthouse in Toronto, and you could see the view in the bottom left corner, and my sister still lives there. And along with all of these amazing experiences, I got a personal development education that most people are lucky if they start doing that in their 20s. So in the top right corner, you see a photo of me and my sister with Bob Proctor, who, if you don't know who he is, maybe you know The Secret. That's something that he's really known for. But he is one of the world's most famous success coaches. And he teaches about the law of attraction, about the power of your mind. And he was the first person after my parents to hold me when I was born. And the reason that my dad had such a close personal relationship with Bob was because Bob was involved with Nikken, and they worked together for several years in Nikken. So Nikken really like put me in an environment where I got an education that most people don't. I learned about the power of my mind. I learned that I could create whatever experience I wanted. And I learned that I wanted to create an experience where I had all the freedom in the world. You know, my dad would always say to me, I wake up when I'm done sleeping. And to me, that just made sense. Whereas I always heard my friends' parents complaining about their jobs, complaining about having to get up at a certain time and commute for an hour, complaining about the work that they did, complaining about the people they worked with, complaining about the money that they made. And when I compared some of my friends' parents' experiences to that of my dad, I realized that he didn't have the same complaints. In fact, it was the opposite. He loved the work that he did so much that he would always talk about it, even when we were like so young that we could really not even understand what he was saying. He would talk to us about his work because he loved it. He would share with us the messages of people from all over the world, telling them how grateful they were for a product that he introduced them to, or something that he said at a global event. And so seeing that growing up, we realized that, hey, we could create a lifestyle where not only did we have the freedom to work when we wanted, where we wanted, and how we wanted, that we could travel the world, that we could make an impact in people's lives, and that we could love what we do in the process, so much so that even if we don't need to continue doing it, we choose to. My dad is work optional. He has been work optional for the majority of my life. He doesn't have to get out of bed in the morning to continue receiving a check, right? But he chooses to. He's here right now on this call, and you're going to hear from him how much he loves these calls because he is so fulfilled by what he does with Nikken. So really, Nikken has a lot of the things that all of us are looking for. But still, I wasn't convinced. I was like, you know what? That's my dad's thing. Let him do his thing, and I'm going to find my own thing. And so I went through the whole university experience, and I always knew I was going to start a business when I finished, but I really had no idea what I was going to do. And when it came time to start thinking about that, I looked around at my options and I realized that there were very few things that offered everything that I wanted and that really aligned with my values. But I started talking to my cousin Elena and my sister Savannah, and we all kind of came to the conclusion that, hey, Nikken checks a lot of the boxes. And maybe if we bring our minds together and we decide to do this together, we could share that with our generation. So here are some of the boxes that I realized that Nikken checked. First of all, it's online, meaning that as long as there's Wi-Fi, you can be making an income. Show of hands here, how many of you are super passionate about travel? Like you want to see the world. You want to see every nook and cranny of this beautiful earth, right? And you realize that you're probably not going to be able to do that with only 2 weeks of vacation a year that you have to book off depending on everyone else's work schedule, you know? So for me, I knew that that wasn't going to work for me and that I had to be able to bring my work with me wherever I went. Right now, I'm happy to tell you that I'm actually broadcasting live from Antigua, Guatemala. And it's beautiful for me to be able, I've been traveling now for 2 months, almost 2 months. And it's beautiful for me to be able to say that I've been able to continue growing my business from Mexico and Guatemala. And so that's why I knew Nikken fit that. It fit that for me. I want to be a digital nomad. I want to be able to travel and work from wherever and generate an income from wherever. And Nikken has that. The next box that it checked is that there was zero risk, meaning you have nothing to lose and everything to gain, right? I don't know about how many of you, where you're at in your life, but many of us are new graduates. And as a new graduate, you don't really have a bunch of cash that you're just sitting on and you're ready to start a business with. I know I didn't. I had some savings, but that was about it. And what I love about Nikken is that the initial investment is minimal. To start, to sign up and get a personal website made where you can start making sales, it's $20. And then of course we recommend investing in your own products so that you know what you're talking about and you can share them from a place of integrity. But even that is no risk, because every penny that you invest is going to make an improvement in your life, specifically in the area of your health. And the best part is it's not just going to affect you. It's going to affect all the people that you love as well. So every dollar that you put into this business has value. There is nothing that you are going to lose, but everything that you have to gain. I'm happy to say that I made a 200% return on my investment within 2 months of starting, right? So most traditional businesses, you don't even think about profit for at least 3 years. And yet I was already in profit after 2 months, right? And it's been a continuous profit ever since. The next thing that I love about Nikken is that it gives us the ability to leverage. So the two most important words in business, something I learned from many of the business mentors that I had in my life growing up, was the importance of the words leverage and compounding. That's what you're looking for in a good business model. And what is leverage? From an engineering standpoint, if I was to explain it, because I went to school for aerospace engineering, so that's kind of the terms that I think in. Leverage is when there's something that you need to lift, right? And you can't lift it with your own hands. This is just an example. Because it's too heavy. But if you were to put a beam underneath it and you were to apply pressure to the end of that beam, you could, with the same amount of force, lift the object. The same amount of force that you would have been able to apply, right? Just lifting it directly, but having no success, you could apply to the end of that beam and lift it successfully. So that's leverage. It gives you ability to do something that you could not do before. Nikken, there's so much ability that you have to leverage. And if you're starting out as a young, aspiring entrepreneur, you really don't have anything. You maybe have some time to invest, a little bit of money to invest, and some contacts to invest. But besides that, you don't know the first thing about building a website. You don't know the first thing about developing a product or shipping it all across the world, or even what it takes to be your own boss, the mindset that it takes, the accountability that it takes. But Nikken gives you all of that. For $20, you have a ready-made online platform. You have a unique link that you can start sharing with people and generating an income from. You have 46 years of research and development about what makes people healthy to back you. You have manufacturing completely done for you, manufacturing of high quality wellness products. You have the shipping and distribution channels set up. So you never have to worry about carrying inventory. You never have to worry about how your product is going to get to your customer. You have the mentorship of people like my dad who have been doing this for 30 years and who have built multi-million-dollar organizations. My dad's business has done over $1 billion in sales. And you could not afford his mentorship if you wanted to pay him. Right? But if you join this team, you get to have that mentorship for free. And you have the ability to leverage the community that we've built. So look around at all these faces, right, that you have on this call. If it wasn't for them, I would be doing this presentation all by myself. But this is leverage, right? I'm able to show any new person that I bring into this call that this is real. right? And you'll be able to leverage this community as well to show people that this is real, to invite them to an experience that isn't just one person or two people, it's a whole community of people who want the same things. That's beautiful. This is a business where you work for yourself, but not by yourself. You know, my sister made a piece of a really great reel the other day, and I was able to share that. I didn't put any time into making it, but yet I was able to share it and educate my followers about that product. That's leverage. Again, the next word that's really important in business is compounding. So it's the ability to see your money multiply over time, right? So that your income isn't tied to the money that you're or to the time that you're trading. It's not X amount of dollars for X amount of hours. As time goes on, the amount that you make per hour, if you want to put it in those terms, is going to what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to grow exponentially. That's why I love Nikken, because everything you do is very scalable. There's no limit to how far and wide you can grow your business. And that means unlimited income potential. Your limit in income is only as, it's only as small as you make it to be. It's only as small as you think that it is. You can continue to grow and grow and grow your business until it has a life of its own. And we can show you how to get it to that point. It's not going to be easy and it's not going to be comfortable, but there are strategies to get you there. And I think about when we started this 7 months ago, there was 3 of us. Now look around, there's 15 people on this call. It's not just me and Ellen and Savannah talking about Nikken. It's like 15 people talking about Nikken and sharing Nikken. That is compounding, right? Imagine how much faster we're going to grow now that instead of 3 people, there's 15 people talking. And that is what I love about this business model and how it works. So the things that I've addressed so far, these are really the benefits of working with a network marketing company, which I think network marketing is one of the most, honestly the business model of the future for the reasons I just listed. It's a business model that operates on this principle. You give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. But if you can teach a man to fish, you can feed the world. That is network marketing, right? It's all about how can I empower somebody else to be their own boss and then teach them how to pass on that knowledge. And there's a lot of great network marketing companies out there, and there's a lot of not really great network marketing companies out there. So I think it's about finding one that truly resonates with your core values. And Nikken, for me, was that. So if to give you a little brief, to summarize really the company philosophy, as my dad mentioned when he was doing his presentation, this company is all about balance in the 5 most important areas of a person's life. We believe that if you have balance in your mind, your body, your family, society, and your finances, then you are on track to a purposeful life. And Nikken offers tools to help you develop all those areas. With the mind, you have the mentorship, you have the team aspect. For the body, you have amazing products that really address the fundamentals of health: clean water, clean air, nutrient-dense plant-based food, restful sleep, and connection to Earth's energies. Family, this is a business that if you continue to work at it, right? If you continue to put in time, eventually you're going to get your time back, which means more quality time with the people that you love. Society, this is a business that really gives you the opportunity to make a difference in multiple ways by sharing really great products and by inviting people to join the movement, and to build their own businesses. And then finally, your finances. As a consequence of sharing this business, you have the ability to make an income from anywhere, right? And so, and also like this business is all about preventative health by replicating the energies of nature. It's about living in harmony with nature. So if all of these things resonate with you, then you're in the right place. And finally, the company mission and vision. So this is a company that has a direction. They've been around for 46 years, which means they're not going anywhere anytime soon. They're able to weather any storm that comes their way. And to give you a rough idea, most businesses have an average lifespan of 11 years. right? So for this to be around for 46 years, you know that there's something real here. There's something meaningful here. And Nikan's stated mission is every home a wellness home, meaning every home having the tools necessary so that people can be healthy, happy, and wealthy. And our vision is to be the most influential wellness community on the planet. So, I mean, if that doesn't excite you, I don't know what will. I'm super excited to be part of this wellness community and to contribute to it, to be part of the movement that really sparks this next generation of wellness entrepreneurs. We've called our team Sovereign Life, and I'm going to pass the baton over to my sister Savannah, who's going to share with you a little bit about who we specifically are and what our vision is as it relates to our team.
Thank you. Yeah, so you guys have heard, bits and pieces of the business model that this company is based on, bits and pieces of the philosophy, how it fits into society, and the incredibly abundant lifestyle that we've gotten to live because we've grown up in it. But as Sophia said, what you haven't heard is why the Sovereign Life team. Who are we? What makes us unique? And I think one of the best ways to explain this is by sharing a story that lets you understand the foundations and beliefs on which this team was built on. And so a few years ago, my dad hosted an event, which he actually does every year, although because of everything going on in the world, we haven't been able to do it in person. And this event is called Humans Being More. Now, why is it called Humans Being More? Because number one, Nikan's philosophy is humans being more. This company wants people to be the best possible version of themselves. And so besides that, I was speaking at it. I wasn't even in the business. I was like 18, I think, 19. And my dad asked us to speak at it. So we said, okay, I've never spoken before. There was like, how many people? Like 1,000, hundreds? How many people were in that room? Hundreds of people. And I've never spoken in front of anyone before. And he wanted us to share about our life and just what Nikan means to us. And so I was working a job a few days before this event, and I ended up talking to one of the people that I ended up working with, and I love sharing about my life, what I like to do, and we were just bouncing ideas off each other, and she started sharing with me like her dreams, her aspirations, what she wants to accomplish in her life. And I was just like going back at her and be like, yeah, I resonate with that. This is how I'm going to do it. This is this. And all of a sudden, like, it was like, went from like being this like vibrant, excited person to just like, boom, like shut and saying every reason why she cannot do that, because of resources, because money, jobs, all of this and that. And right away, I was just like, well, that's not how I see it. Like, I was always taught to be so limitless in anything that I wanted to dream. I knew that if I wanted it, it was possible, right? Because that is how I grew up. That's what I learned. And so I started sharing with her a bit about what I was going to speak at the event. And I just, I was just genuine with her. I just shared with her my life and my experiences and my perspective. And by the end of the conversation, she said to me, wow, this conversation changed my life. And that was so empowering for a 19-year-old to hear. Right? Like I was just sharing her with what I know, everything that I know. And so I went back home and, I called my dad right away because I was just excited. Like it had to do with Nikan. And, I just shared with my dad what happened. And after I told him that, she said, I changed this person's life today. He said to me, now you know why I do what I do. Right? Nikan is a platform to empower people to begin with. We were taught from the very beginning that our voice mattered and that what we have to share matters. And that is the foundation and the beliefs that this team is built on. The Sovereign Life team is about building people up so that they are in the most aligned version of themselves that is aligned with their own purpose. In this business, you're of service. The Sovereign Life team is about giving back and sharing insight. whether it's through a conversation with somebody, whether it's through the products, whether it's through perspective change, whether it's through just this conversation you guys hearing right now. Maybe it's something, maybe that aligning with success, the cash flow quadrants, that's something you've never heard before because it's not something you've taught. And that is what we're here to do. We're here to change people, not change, to change people's perspectives by giving them and showing them that there is another way that exists. And, there's one thing we've always taught, and that is in the process of achieving everything that you desire, you're actually helping someone else achieve everything that they desire. That is what this team is about. And we always hear the quote, success ensues. What does that mean? It means you succeed by helping others actualize their own success. As Sophia was sharing in the quote before about, like you feed a fish, you teach someone how to fish and it will feed them for the day, right? But if you teach someone how to teach someone else to fish, you can feed the world. And one person truly can change the world. And you can be that one person. But, the thing is, we never do it alone. Because that person then teaches someone else to fish, then teaches someone else to fish, and then teaches someone else to fish. It's a community, right? And you can never make as much impact alone than you can with other people. And even you guys in this call, like right now, you choosing to be here, you're part of our success story because you heard us speak today. You're part of our vision growing, whether you choose to join or not, because the word is out, because you're listening right now. And you might even know somebody else that this is for, and you share that with them. And that is how this works. And so, number one, I just want to thank you for even being here and listening to us today. So I'm just going to round of applause to you guys because that means the world to us, just that you're here. But where are we right now? So right now we are starting a fire. And what does that look like? Well, when you have a fire, you first have to build the logs. And that happened a few months ago when Milan and Sophia came together and we started this. We started figuring out, okay, what's the name of our team? What do we want it to be about? Why are we even doing this? Right? Those were the logs. That was the purpose that we were putting together. And right now, as you can see, there's 15 people on this call. We've caught, the fire has caught. We've added the paper, we've added the flames, and it's growing. And what happens with fires? Well, they continue to grow, right? They don't stop. And we're doing this, right? This is happening. We have a vision. Every home, a wellness home, building the most influential wellness community that exists. And it's happening with or without you. But to be completely honest, we want you to be a part of it. Because we know in the Sovereign Life team that each person has a gift to share with the world. And that is unique to them specifically. And we want to give you a platform to do so. So Sovereign Life is about reconnecting people with their purpose. You are meant to have experiences that you want, and you are meant to be limitless. I don't know why our society doesn't push that enough, but that is one thing I've always been taught, and that is what I want to share with other people. You are meant to be limitless. The dreams that you have, you are meant to have. Like, don't mistake that. They're there for a reason. And what we all have in common on this team is we are not willing to settle for anything less. So with that being said, we need a generation that redefines what success means. It's not the material things. It's not the destination. It's a direction. And we're here right now building that. So we would love for you to be a part of that vision with us.
Thanks, Sab. All right, guys. We've got a couple faces on this call, old and new. You guys have heard a lot. Maybe you resonated with what's been shared. We've covered quite a bit. I would like to open up the floor for any questions. If there's any, new questions that we have from those that are just joining. And I'd also like to open up the floor to our team, to ask you guys specifically what it was about what you heard that drew you in to become a part of this movement, to start your own Nikken business, to join the Sovereign Life team? What was it that kind of caught your attention, and what's your reason for being here? If there's anyone who wants to share.
For me, it was definitely the cash flow quadrant, to see like where wealth, like how you actually build wealth, and that whole like trading time for money is such an outdated, and it literally keeps you in like slavery pretty much, right? Where you're like, you don't have the freedom to do what you want when you want, you know what I mean? But on the right side, like that's where the wealth comes from. Like that's why there's only 5% of the population that has 95% of the wealth, because we're not taught this, right? So I don't know, that was huge for me. And then obviously like everything Sophia talks about with like law of attraction and like manifestation and everything, like that just resonates with me and like who I am as a person. So just tying in like business and then like spirituality together for me is like, that was like, okay, this is where I'm meant to be 100%.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I think, yeah, I agree with you. The 4 cash flow quadrants, I think, was the most transformative for me in terms of understanding my role in all of this. And we think we know about money and how money is made, but we know about wages. We don't actually know about wealth creation. At least we're not taught. We're lucky to know someone who knows about wealth creation, and that's how we start to learn. So the more we continue to share that message with people, the quicker that paradigm is going to shift and transform altogether. So
yeah. Also like the limitless growth, like there's no ceiling, like the sky is the limit. And you know, like the more the individual grows, the more everyone grows, which is amazing. Like where else do you see that? It's all competition everywhere else, you know?
definitely.
I like that a lot. That's true, especially the word competition. Competition is like what the corporate world is about. You want to get the top spot, or here that word does not exist. It's not about competing. It's about everybody helping each other.
I know I watched like I looked into network marketing a little bit more like these past few weeks. I've been like really, you know, looking into it and everything. And I came over a Rich Dad video on why he loves network marketing. It's like, you know, corporate America, like it's like a pyramid where you're fighting to get that one spot at the top. But network marketing is like a tree where you're just growing upwards, and the more that the little guys grow, the more the big guys grow, and then everybody's just collectively growing. So it's like a beautiful abundant tree, rather than like, you know, someone just trying to like beat the other guy to get to the one spot at the top. So I don't know, I thought that was really beautiful.
It's interesting because if you look to some of the most successful people, you know, individuals that you'd think, okay, when we think about success, at least from the perspective of monetary success, you know, they're building financial abundance for themselves, look to them and ask them what their perspective on network marketing is as a business model and how it can generate abundance for people, and see what their opinion is and what they share about that model. Because I've learned, you know, most of my financial literacy has been adopted from Robert Kiyosaki, who is a huge endorser of this business model. So yeah, all that. Any questions, guys? No?
Yeah, the floor is open. If anyone has any questions they'd like to ask.
Yeah.
Or your why.
Or your why. Yeah. All right.
My why for joining Nika and also joining Sovereign Life, for one, I'm a mom of 2, and I like, my dream is to have the time freedom that I can spend with them, and I can, like, I'm not missing any of their sports games. There's like school musicals. Like I want to be there for all of their moments. So finding something that helped me create that that time freedom, as well as something that aligned with me. Like what really drew me to joining was like, after having my conversations initially, was the fact that it's like wellness like was the main core. I also too like focus on holistic methods for like anything. If my kids get sick or anything, I don't run to Tylenol or anything like that. I'm always the more natural ways. So that resonated with me as well too. So joining those 2 really helped me see like, yeah, this is definitely for me. this is where I should be. And yeah, like I'm grateful for this opportunity. I love to be here.
Thank you.
And we love having you here.
All right. I think we'll end this call off for tonight.
Oh,
I
wait, we have
hope-
Rosa.
Oh, wait, we got Rose.
Hi,
Up
guys.
down, girl.
Well, thank you for the wonderful presentation today. Once again, I have a quick quote from no one other but Jordan Peterson. So it says, the magnitude of the reward you experience as you're moving towards a goal is proportionate to the importance of the goal. I like that.
Ooh, that gives you something to think about.
No, I need to like see that on paper to digest that.
He's one of those people. It's sort of like you can say that like happiness isn't that end goal right there. It's like the journey that you have towards it. It's kind of that sort of experience.
And like the reward that you receive is equal to how much meaning does that goal actually have?
Yeah.
Not
It's
just
like
for
that
yourself,
every-
I think, but for others as well.
Yes, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I feel like it's that like dopamine and that serotonin in healthy ways is what really keeps you joyful and happy throughout the whole process. And it's like never ending because there's no sort of like, oh, here I'm at this goal now. Now what? Because you trained your mind to be energetically blissful throughout.
Yeah.
I think it can also represent our model, right? Personal development program with a compensation plan, because the journey is the growth, right? Constantly growing. So yeah.
A purposeful life. It's a life on purpose. It's a movement toward the realization of a worthy ideal. So, yeah, there'll be versions of yourself. I mean, I remember when I first joined Nikan, my big goal financially was to make $5,000 in a month, and I blew way past that. And so it didn't stop at 5,000, it just grew from there. But it was a consequence of falling in love with the work. So if you can fall in love with the work, you have an added bonus that most people don't have. It's one thing to generate passive income, multiple sources of income, but if you can actually enjoy the work, fall in love with the work, the work ethic, then every day is a joy. Now I'm at this 30 years, and looking at your faces and what you represent in terms of a generation, and to hear the way you think, I know that's not the way it was when I was your age. I didn't hear these conversations. Nobody had these conversations. It wasn't until I found this business and Nikan's philosophy where this conversation even began for me, and I was already in my late 20s. And for most of the people I introduced, they were in their 40s. So to have you guys represent a new emerging movement in the wellness arena and in the financial arena, where you're really going to be the advocates for a new way of thinking about money, you really do represent a future reality. I don't know that you know that about yourself, but I can tell you, having been in the workforce and the business world for as long as I have, you are a very unique experience. And to have you together find each other, collectively create an experience where you're now part of a team, the more you are, the more momentum you have, the more that people are attracted to hear you and see you, is going to reach what's called critical mass. Savannah was talking about a fire. If you can get that fire to critical mass, it becomes an inferno. That's what you want to have. And when that happens, you lose all control of your business in a positive way. It just starts to expand left, right, and center, way beyond your ability. So I want to help you achieve that critical mass sooner than later. So take advantage of all of the calls, all of the meetings. These are all opportunities to get the word out. And just as a FYI, there is a special event this Saturday. Maybe Sophia, Savannah, and Elena can share with you the details of Master Day, which is a quarterly event. enough of that. So I do invite you, if you're new, to join. If you need to have more information, ask for it. If you need more questions answered, ask them. We just know the more you know about this, the more you learn about this, the more you're going to want to be a part of it.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up. I'm going to speak to Cassandra directly right now because she's really the new one here on the team right now. So Cass, if you heard anything today that you liked, that you resonated with, you were leaning in, I know Shady's your cousin, talk to him, get some details from him. We have another call on Thursday. Come back with a friend maybe. And then Saturday, we're going to have another call at 11 a.m. to go over the mechanics behind the business. So you'll get a lot more details on what that actually looks like. And beyond that, thanks guys for showing up, for being present, for sharing your time and energy. I appreciate you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye guys.
Thank you.